Hey everyone, Livy here, back with another video, and we are back under the Christmas tree. I also put a filter on that hopefully will make it brighter. I noticed in my last video that I did film under the tree, but for some reason it was really goddamn dark, so I hope this is a lot brighter. Anyways, though, today I'm here to do a tag that I waited very, very patiently until basically the very end to do. Which is the end of year tarot tag. This was created by the amazing Spirited Stardust Chanel. And there's how many? Oh, okay. There's 11 like questions or prompts to this tag. But I'm really excited about this one because this is really just a tag to kind of quickly summarize like how everybody's years have gone with tarot. I guess you can do oracle too. It's very open-ended in the way it's phrased. So yeah, basically this is just a tag though to say how your practice has been going. So we're gonna hop right into it with number 1, which is the deck you use the most. Now, here's the thing. I do have a clear winner. I was tallying up like how many times I used a deck the whole year. And I thought, okay, no, this deck I knew was probably going to be top, but I thought another deck, actually a couple of other decks, were also going to have the same amount of use, but I guess it was not. So the deck that I used the most in 2023, this should be a surprise to literally no one. This is the Northern Animal Tarot. I specifically, for those who are watching, I specifically have the 3rd edition that was, well, the 3rd edition that was a lot chunkier because this was the first printing of the 3rd edition. And it did not have linen finish. It's this other, it's a really interesting cardstock. I want to see if the camera might pick it up even though it's like kind of glossy. But you might see, if I go like this, see how there's like a texture here? This texture apparently made this cardstock in particular, I guess water resistant. So that's cool. But I kind of prefer the linen, but it's okay because it also made this deck very chunky, as you can see. But Northern Animal Tarot, this was the deck that I used the most in 2023. And honestly, am I really surprised that I used it the most? No. I'm not surprised. Also, I'm noticing the colors in here and the light from the tree, as you can see, is like making this really glossy. So sorry. It's not quite this, it doesn't always quite look like this. Sorry for the late night tarot filming. But anyways, this deck is great. This deck is one of those decks that if you like animal decks and if you like specifically anthropomorphic animals, like this is basically the deck for you. Not everybody is into this kind of style, so fair. But I really enjoyed this one, and it does not surprise me that since I bought it, I've basically been using it a lot because, I don't know, because it follows, I guess, it's almost like, how do I explain this? It almost borders on basically being, well, actually not borders. It basically is a Rider-Waite-Smith clone. So it's like easy for people to, you know, pick up, especially if you've been learning the RWS, right? So it's easy in that sense. And I think it's also just one of those that's just the coloring and the fact that it's animals, it's very inviting, and it's not, at least for me, it's not very intimidating, and it makes people feel calm in a reading. I also use this deck to read for others. So I basically had one whole day where I was reading how many people? I think it was like 5. I've read for 5 people in one day with this deck. They all wanted this deck. They had a choice between the only other one I brought on that vacation. But everyone wanted a reading from the Northern Animals. So there you go. That tells you, right, that this deck is just where it's at. So this is a good one. Did not surprise me. For those who were curious, the decks that came very close to being mostly used in comparison with the Northern Animal for me were Guided Hand Tarot, so that would surprise no one. And also what was it? Oh, Zerner Farber and the Tildwick. So there you go. But yeah, Northern Animal Tarot, good one. Okay, number 2 is the deck you didn't use at all. And listen, I talked about this last year too, and I don't know what, I don't know. The deck I did not use at all this year was Anima Mundy. Really interesting that I haven't, because this is a deck, I've already talked about this in one of my videos. This is one of the oldest tarot decks I still have, right? Along with like Tarot Divine and the Raven's Prophecy. This is one of my oldest tarot decks. And as you can see, it also has like this shiny gilded edging. It actually has like really nice, I don't know if you guys can tell. It has like really nice linen, waffly, like cardstock. It's matte feeling. It's not like, you know, I don't know. It's one of the best that I've encountered. And these are the beautiful backs. And this is like a beautiful deck. Again, if you like animal decks, this is a beautiful one. It's got some really intense imagery though. And it's like really dark of a color scheme. So I'm not going to lie, that might be why I don't always gravitate to it. Because it is, again, it's a beautiful animal deck. Has a lot of different animals and plants like featured, right? But like, I don't know what it is. I don't, I haven't been feeling the call to use it. And maybe it's because, it might just be because when I first got this deck, or when it was like more, you know, it was one of those more key players in my deck. I did use it a lot, and maybe it's just that I'm in a weird, like, fatigue over it. I don't know. But I just have not been gravitating towards it in comparison to the many, many decks I got this past year, right, in 2023. It just, yeah, haven't been called to use it, but is what it is. This is the Anima Mundy. Maybe it will play more of a role in 2024, but for now, bye. Okay, next, sorry, had to move my camera a little bit. Okay, next is my most recent edition, and technically at the time of me filming this, I got like 2 decks at the same time, but I'm going to talk about the first one now, just because the other one you guys are going to see featured in a little bit. So I guess they're both getting play. But anyways, this one, the one I'm talking about right now, is the Divine Ephemera Oracle. This is a deck by the lovely Krista here on TarotTube, who's also known as Crochet. Is it Crochet Witch Tarot or Crochet Witch Wears? I always get this mixed up. I'm sorry, Krista. I'm sorry. I'm gonna end up linking it, but this is her lovely oracle that she made. It is a collage oracle, and these are the backs. It has a very like it's a very slippy linen, as you can see. It just kind of like goes all on its own. It's oracle size too, so even though I mean I have like bigger hand, I mean not bigger, I have smaller hands, so it's like sometimes it's a bit hard to wrangle, but at the same time it's not too thick, luckily for being linen, that it's like completely unmanageable for me, if that makes sense. So it's a good middle size. But anyways, let's show the deck, okay? This is beautiful. I'm very excited to use this into the next year because I think it'll go very well with like the vibes I really want to start manifesting more, I guess. I don't know. But it's a very beautiful oracle. It has both botanicals and different deities mixed together, collaged to give its message. Like, this is a pretty cool card. I really like a lot of the choices, actually. But there's a lot of deities, like, so a lot of them I recognize from, you know, Greek mythology. Or just like Norse. There's a couple Norse gods in here too. But there's some that I don't recognize, I guess because they're more Celtic in origin. Like this one. I don't know much about this deity. So there's like some I'm definitely going to have to deep dive and do a little bit more research on. But overall, I'm excited. I'm excited about this one, but this is like the most recent addition. This is a nice one too. Also because I just want, I don't know. I think for 2024, I have to say, while I was trying to figure out what deck I use the most, I realized I bought so many freaking decks this year. And majority of them were still tarot, but I can't help but think like Oracle is still this huge gap. Like I don't have as many oracles, and I guess it's just a matter of finding the right ones. So this is one that so far I'm very excited about. So good potential there. And yeah, this is the Divine Ephemera. Okay. Now, number 4. I don't have this deck anymore, so you're not going to see anything here. Prompt number 4 for this tag is deck you let go of or put into purgatory. So I actually did let go of one of my decks this year. I passed it on to somebody else. It was, I don't know if you guys, for those of you who've been in my channel a while, maybe you would know what I'm talking about. I used to have the tarot for kids, and this is specifically the one, I think, by Teresa Reed. Used to have that deck, and I threw it into purgatory for a very long time because it was completely unusable for me. Just completely unusable. Mainly because this deck was so freaking big. I think it was even bigger than typical oracle size. It was so big that I just could not, with my, you guys can't tell because of like the way this stand setup is. With my tiny hands, I could not hold it in my hands. Also because it was thick and tarot, 78 cards. It was completely unusable. I gave it to somebody actually in the Tarot Tube community. I don't remember if she has a channel though, but she's a creator of the Oracle When Olga Speaks. Sasha, I believe. Sasha. I gave it to her, and I hope her son likes it. I think it was for him. So yeah, I passed it on. I had the opportunity. I sent it away, and I'm glad it's out of my life. Not because it wasn't, it was a very cute deck. I just couldn't use it myself. So is what it is. But anyways, let's go on to number 5 is my favorite pairing, I guess, from this year. And this was actually kind of hard because there was a couple of pairings I could have shown, but I decided just to pick this one from a purely aesthetic standpoint. So it was the Botanica Tarot with the Dirt Gems Oracle. Yep. This one will be very self-explanatory once you see both of them together. But aesthetically, these two are basically a perfect match. They're very beautiful, both the decks. And were really cool for like learning more about plants because I don't really know that much about botany as such. But oops, sorry. I didn't realize I was not even centered as I was doing this. Okay. Anyways, as you can see, they go very well together. They both also have black backs. Makes it very easy to match them together. Very easy. And I didn't even realize some of these cards are upside down, but that's okay. But yeah, very beautiful combination. This deck in general, though, Dirt Gems is very powerful. So, like, anything you kind of pair it with is going to just be beautiful. But it was just one of those that I think it found me at the right time. Like, I needed it when I needed it, and it was a good combo. So, I'm showing it off today, like, aesthetics. There was also a couple of other decks that I had really interesting readings with together. But I don't know. There's something about this one I still think about. And I'm just like, ooh, okay, I like that. So yeah. Oh, this is actually a really nice pairing, these two. But anyways, this is Botanica Tarot. This is Dirt Gems. I'm going to fix this before it bothers me. I think like half the deck was upside down. I don't know why. But yeah, that was a pairing that I liked a lot. Oops. Not me fumbling. Listen, at the time of me filming this, it's been actually a little while. So it is what it is. You guys get what you get. I almost said the line I'd say to the kids in my work. Because they always want to say, I want this one. I want this one when you try to give them something. And we always go, you get what you get and you don't get upset. It is what it is, you know? So anyways, moving on. Okay, number 6 for this tag is favorite mod or bag made. And I had to stop and think of, did I even mod any of my decks this year? And I did. But I don't do, okay, guys, I'm not crafty in the sense that I know how to, for instance, crochet. So I don't make my own bags or sew. I don't know how to sew. So I don't make my own bags. And modding for me, the extent of it is edging. I just edge my decks, right? So the deck that I modded this year was my Dungeons and Dragons Tarot. It looks like this. All right, these are the backs. And these are the edges that I edged. Yes, they are black. And I know it's simple. You're just like, well, what? Anybody can edge their deck in black. And you know what? You're right. I just don't think all decks need to be edged in black. Does that make sense? In this case, it does, because look at the backs. Look at the fronts, right? This is a deck that actually needs black edging. And if I think it went really nice, if I do say so myself. But yeah, this was my favorite mod. Simple mods. Listen, guys, I'm not somebody, this is just my opinion, okay? You do you, boo. You do whatever you want. I am somebody who does not believe much in buying a deck if I have to mod it so severely just to make it work for me. Plain and simple. I'm just not that kind of person. And what I mean by that is, like, there are some decks I've thought about getting, but then I'm like, if I have to chop off the borders just to do it, just to make it actually work for me, there's no point. That's too much effort for me. One of those decks, by the way, is the Woodland Wardens. Everyone hems and haws and, you know, says the deck is wonderful. But for me to actually use it, I would literally have to chop off their ugly borders. And I cannot, guys. I cannot. That's too much time and effort. And I just don't want to do it. So I'm sorry. I will stick to just edging my decks when I want to mod them. Yeah. So that was that. This was the Dungeons and Dragons Tarot. Okay. Number 7 of this tag is, what deck do you want for Christmas? This is kind of cheating. I already got this deck. I already got it. I asked for it, and my partner got it for me, and he was going bye-bye to India for the holidays. So I opened it because, you know, we weren't able to do gifts together. So my deck that I wanted for Christmas and ended up already getting is the Eldritch Overload Tarot. With, yes, this is very holographic edging, foiling, as you can see. This is a deck I also showed in my video I just did recently of the decks I got as like an early Christmas haul. The Divine Ephemera was also in that video. So again, both of those recent deck purchases came back up for me. These are the backs. Look at that, hollow. Yeah, it is. Listen, it seems very glitz and glammy, but like for me, it's the right amount. I do like a little bling, not gonna lie, I do. And I keep looking at these edges, like maybe this will be my 2024 mod. I am so tempted to edge this deck, but I cannot decide for the life of me what color it'll be. Maybe I have to do another help me mod video for that. But anyways, not the point. This is not the point. This is the deck. Okay. I wanted this deck for Christmas because I was very interested in this deck for the fact that it is fantasy. It's like very loosely D&D related. It's also cyberpunk, and so it's like that sci-fi bit to me that I really love. So like, I'm not gonna lie, I am mostly fantasy, but I do also love, like, when it's a good sci-fi for me, and it'll just hit. It'll hit, and this is kind of like one of those. This deck is so good. It is so good. Hollow, as you can see, hollow foiling all along here. It's just a beautiful one. It's a deck that I was really interested in, but I was on the fence about, I don't know why. Maybe it's because I wasn't sure. I talked about it in the other video. I wasn't sure how this hollow foiling, like how this deck would actually feel in my hands. I've been jaded, okay? I've been jaded, guys, because of the freaking literary tarot and its nasty gold foiling that made the cardstock choice they used for that deck was god awful. And I was afraid that this deck would be that same nasty cardstock. Thank God it is not, okay? This cardstock is nice. To me, it feels nice. It's matte. It's kind of on the papery side, so I don't know. Some people don't like that, but this is fine for me. It's a very beautiful deck. It's kind of got this like very dystopian 2 vibe. It can be dark in many places, but it's really fascinating and interesting in others. Like, I find it so interesting, for instance, that this lich, from, like, you know, if you guys know D&D, you know, but they are the Hierophant. Like, that is, oh my goodness, I love it. It's just done really well. I am just so pleasantly surprised. And so that's why I won this deck for Christmas, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to spend my own cash on it. So, my partner, Daryl, he got me this. So, love him. But yeah, this was the deck I wanted, and I am very grateful and very, very, I know, privileged in that way to have gotten it. But yeah, very good. Very good. And if you are also a fan of this kind of style of deck, you know, fantasy, cyberpunk, sci-fi, D&D stuff, this will probably be a deck that you will want to pick up. But anyways, not me going on and on and on about that. Let's move on. Number 8 of this tag is a deck that you'd gift to others. And this is kind of hard of a question. Every time I see this, my brain just kind of like poops out. I'm just like, what? What deck would I give to somebody? I don't know. Because here's the thing. I am of the opinion for tarot decks that I would only give somebody a deck that I think they would actually like. And I mean this because if I'm going to even give somebody a tarot deck, one, I've got to really know them. And with knowing them, I need to know kind of like what their aesthetic is. I know that's kind of weird. You're like, why would you go there? Well, because if someone's attracted to specific things, then you know generally that they will then like it, right? Like there's some decks that I have in my collection even that I think, wow, this would be a vibe for my sister, or this would be a vibe for my best friend. You know what I mean? So I'm of the opinion of get somebody a deck that you actually think they would like. Don't just like buy any random deck. But with that said, if I really have to push my brain and think, what decks do I think are overall good decks that I would give to other people, right? Like, okay, this deck is like a good, for instance, a good starter deck. So this would be a nice gift for somebody, okay? I'm cheating, but I have 2 decks I'm going to show, okay? The first one is the Tarot of the Divine. This is by Yoshio Shitani. And the other deck that I would consider gifting to somebody else is the Everyday Witch Tarot. Now, I have the mini because I am a picky bitch and I don't like Llewellyn's regular size cardstock these days. When I got, no. I'm not getting into that rant today about like printing versions of what decks. Not doing that. Sorry. Not derailing this video in like autistic fashion as usual. Okay, let's stay on the agenda. I have the mini because I'm picky. If I was going to gift this deck to somebody though, I would obviously give them the full size because the full size I know actually has like a nice guidebook that people like to swear by. They say it's very good. I don't have it, so I don't know. These are the backs. Again, my lighting's kind of awful right now. I'm so sorry. Filming at night is the worst. Anyways, they're a bit lighter of shade of blue, but they are like a darker blue. Very cute. And the reason why this is a deck that I would give to other people is because it is very easy to use, in my opinion. The images give you a lot to work with in understanding what the card means. So this is like good for people who like to read intuitively, right? But what I also realized I appreciated about this deck is that it is not a Rider-Waite-Smith clone. Now, even this card that is more traditional, you're kind of seeing it at a different angle. And it's just some of the ways that the images are put together are not, again, it's not a complete clone, but it is an RWS deck. So I think this would make a good beginner deck for a lot of people. And if this is your style, you like this more like cartoony vibe, you know, then this would probably be a good one for you. You know what I mean? Like this is a deck that I would feel comfortable giving someone because I don't foresee them having too much of a problem with it. Now, does this deck have its issues? Some. Yeah, I still sometimes get like really freaking confused with like some of the choices of like why is it mostly fantasy, but then you have this like weird spread here that looks like it's not fantasy. You know what I mean? Like you have like a wine bottle on the table that looks like a wine bottle you would buy at the grocery store. It's just very, it's just, but then this looks more fantasy. You see what I mean? Like sometimes this deck can be really confusing like that, but overall, I think it's a great reader. I see this one like very modern, so it's very confusing. But at the same time, I would still give this deck for people because it is, again, it's just good and it's mass market. By the way, guys, I don't know if you've ever had to give somebody a deck, but I feel like the safest option, especially if you don't know if someone's going to like the deck, unless they specifically tell you what deck they want, right? Please just like get a mass market. They're very affordable. Most of them will come with guidebooks. Not all indie decks come with guidebooks, so you know, that kind of thing. But anyways, that was the Everyday Witch. The other deck that I would give or consider giving to people is Tarot of the Divine. Now, the reason why I would specifically give this one is because, first off, it tells you right off the bat, it's inspired by deities, folklore, and fairy tales from around the world. It's not just one country. It's literally very diverse. So right off the bat, it's a good diverse deck. This guidebook could do a little better, but again, it does have the option of getting that bigger guidebook that talks about the stories, so there's that. And the other reason why, again, this is also mass market, so that's a plus, right? These are the backs. They're like a kind of, I don't know what to call this linen. It's like not really a linen, but it is at the same time. And it's kind of sticky. It's not, you know, it's just some interesting texture in between. Anyways, not the point. Why would I gift this to somebody? Because it's diverse. Because it pulls in things from a common collective that at least everybody will find something in this deck, you know, that they will recognize. Okay. I might not know a lot of the different, like, more, like some of these, I still don't know a lot of, like, Eastern stories and such, like fairy tales and things. There's some I do, there's some I don't. But for instance, I know this. I know Fenrir because I study Norse mythology. I also know Janus, right? David Copperfield, Rapunzel. Like, these are things that people, King Arthur, right? Like, that people in any way, shape, or form, like even some of these like Indian ones, I'm starting to learn them from my partner, but I don't know all of them. They're, like, everybody can find, though, something in here that they recognize and pull that narrative from. And it's just beautifully, by the way, this is beautifully illustrated. It follows, like, I don't know if you guys can tell. You probably can. It's in my favorite color palette. It is almost, you could say, a limited color palette, but not completely. Yoshio Shitani does a really adept thing of, like, taking certain color scheme and, like, mixing it in just the right way that it doesn't feel like boring, you know what I mean? Like, in some decks that are limited color scheme, they just get boring. This doesn't feel boring to me. This is I think this is one of those Aztec myths. I don't remember. It's been a while. I think I learned more about this in like 7th grade. I don't remember. Anyways, but that's what I mean. It's like there's a lot of stuff in here that basically everyone can pull from. And I think in that way, that's why it makes a good deck too, because the readings I do with this deck or have done with this deck have been really great too. Oh, look at Anansi. So I just like it a lot. You know, and that's why I think I would gift it to others, because I'm like, hey, yeah, this is a good deck. You know what I mean? Like, yes, I'm glad you have it. Not everybody likes this one. I know there's people who've like rehomed it and stuff like that, and that's okay too. But I'm just saying, like, for beginners, I think this is a pretty good place to start, and you wouldn't be too bad off. You know what I mean? So, Tarot Divine. Next one, though. Let's move on. Number 9 is the deck you fell in love with. Now, here's the thing. I technically fell in love with quite a few decks this year. Like, up there, off the top of my head, you know, I would think of certain decks like the Tildwick Tarot and Zernar Farber. And it showed because I did use those decks a lot. But if I have to think about a deck that it was not an insta-love situation, okay? This is a deck that I slowly, as the year went on, realized I fell in love with and was just, like, really glad by the end of this time, right, that I had it, has to be the Lin Strider Tarot. And once again, yes, I have the mini. This deck is a deck that kind of blindsided me. It's, this is not a new deck for most people. And I got this deck last year. And these are the backs, by the way. I got this deck last year, I'm pretty sure. Yes, I did. Yes. But I fell in love with it this year. And I think it's just because there became this point where all of a sudden the images I was seeing on the card clicked for me. And I don't know why. I don't know how. But they did. And I found myself falling in love with this deck. But it was not an insta love, because the thing is, this deck has a lot of things in it that, well, not a lot, but it has one key thing in it that would normally repel me as far as humanly possible away from this deck. And that is, if you can't tell, this deck has a lot of white space. A lot of white space. And I am not a fan of white space. White is my least favorite color. It makes me very nervous and anxious. Maybe because I know it's the absence of all color, right? It doesn't have life in it, in my opinion. Like, to each their own with color theory, right? But I tend to be someone who's always been like repelled by the color white. So normally this would not be a deck that I gravitate towards. But this year, I don't know why, I just kept like kind of going back to it. Maybe because, you know, I have the mini, which means that it is a very great travel deck. So I could literally take it anywhere and I don't have to worry a ton about it, right? So because of that, like right off the bat, a lot easier and more convenient to use. But I think what also made me fall in love with it, what also made me fall in love with it, it was just like the readings it was giving me when I was using it were very, they were very profound in a way I wasn't expecting, because this deck, it doesn't give you, each card doesn't give you a lot to go off of. You kind of really got to look and sit to get the meaning. For instance, like Three of Cups, they're so cute, but they're like the weirdest animal companions all together having their little party. Like, look at this little sauce. He's so funny. But this is like, you know, this would not be everybody's cup of tea. And I don't think everybody has this deck either. And I should say, I feel like my experience with this deck would also be very different if I had the full size. So this is one of those decks that I could only have in this size, because any bigger and that white space would literally end me. I could not. But for some reason, this deck and we fell in love. It was very, very slow of a love, but it happened. And I think it's just because it did what it needed to do. It knew, like, I needed it when I needed it. And I don't know. Yeah, these images now make so much more sense to me. And that's why, too, I'm not going to get it right now. Man, it's at my desk. I did scour the internet and I found somebody who was selling the guidebook separately from the main deck of this Lin Strider Tarot. So I actually have the guidebook for this deck that I want to actually read through more. This is how much I realized I liked this deck. You know what I mean? And that in itself is very profound. But yeah, this was a deck I unexpectedly fell in love with this year. And yeah, let's move on. Number 10 is, which card sums up this year as a whole? Now, here's what's tricky. I'm going to, maybe to do these next two prompts, I'm just going to bring back out the Eldritch Overload. Why did I put it away? I don't know. But here it goes. Okay. Here's the thing. Funny enough, this is going to be my card for next year, Temperance. Here's the thing. So I knew my card of the year was the Death card. Okay? Death. I'm in a death year right now. 2023, death year. Based on my birth cards and all that. That is my year. Okay? I don't 100% think, well, it's hard to tell right now. What about this year I needed to die off and like transform with, you know what I mean? So actually I'm going to put this one to, both of these. I just don't, I don't know. And, actually, I'm going to put that too. Okay. I don't know if I'm really in a death year. Maybe I am. I know I am. But I mean more of like, it doesn't feel like it yet. I can't unlock the mystery of that. So if I have to think about what card sums up this year as a whole, I was trying to see if I could actually find the death card. Sorry guys, that's why I'm like speeding through this. I'm not like trying to be annoying. If I had to think of a card that was actually my year as a whole, I'm kind of filtering through some options. That's why I pulled some of them off to the side, and I'm going to like show that in a second. Watch it. Yep. I freaking knew it. It was going to be like totally by the end. Death year, right? Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I really had the death year. Like, would I say it's a good summary of how my year specifically went? No. I don't know. I don't think so. I have some candidates, and I can't decide which one was actually my year. Like, the easy answer for me was just to say that this was a 10 of Swords year. Because this was basically me by the end of this thing. Like, especially like with how work was starting to end. Just not a great time. Especially my health was not great. Right? This would be the easy answer. But both of these are answers I'm more inclined to say was actually my year. Okay? The Wheel of Fortune. I'm not in a wheel year. I've had many in my life, but I'm not in a Wheel of Fortune year. But let me tell you, it felt like it. Because there was a lot of ups and downs and cyclical things that I just had to deal with and hope I got out of alive, Not to be dramatic, but just was, it's the honest thing. It was definitely an ups and downs kind of year, so could be this. But I also think, I don't know, a side of me that wants to be more, more optimistic maybe, thinks that like overall this year kind of felt a lot like this 9 of Wands. Is that I've been struggling so long just to make it to the end, and I'm not the same person I was once, right? Maybe I didn't literally lose an arm, right? But I had like bad health scares and just, everything that life threw at me, a lot of like stuff going on with my work that was like kind of bullshit. But despite everything, as usual, I kept going. And I guess in that way, that was my year, because it wasn't all bad either. There were things I tried my best to do because I was still fighting for better, So, yeah. I don't know. Sorry, that was a very lengthy explanation for this, but the 9 of Wands is my most optimistic feeling of like how this year went, but at the same time, it's kind of like both of these. So Wheel of Fortune, and Nine of Wands. But now, I'm just going to randomly stick them in here. Number 11 of this prompt, of this tag, Jesus. Guys, this video is too long again. I'm so sorry. This is why my brain shut out at the end of this. If you're watching this right now, very glad that you stuck around, because Jesus, I'm just losing it. Number 11 of this tag says, pull a card for the new year. Well, guys, I know my year is going to be a temperance year. I already know what my card for January is. Yes, I do. I was like, wait. Yes, I do. I don't remember what it is at this exact moment, but I have it written down in my journal. So I already know what's coming in January. But maybe this can give me like a good overall feeling. And you guys know I do have a way that I shuffle normally if I'm going to do like a bigger reading for myself. It's like a whole thing where I spread out all the cards and do all that, but that's not easy to film. So I'm just going to shuffle until my other method of shuffling that I use for oracle decks, which is basically like this. And I basically overhand until I feel a card that is warm. Interestingly, when I do this, I don't always pull from the top. It's from the bottom. And right now is saying this one. What is this? Ah, really interesting. How? No. Oh, fuck. Okay, sorry. I shouldn't be saying that, but okay, this is the 7 of Potions. Interesting. So potions in this deck, for those who are not as familiar, are the cups. 7 of Cups for 2024. The reason why I was like expletive is because I like the 7 of Cups weirdly, but it is also a very anxiety-inducing card. And the reason why is because you got so many fucking options. You don't know which one is going to be the right one until you've made it. But there are always going to be a mix of options that are good for you and options that are bad for you. And so why this is hard for me as a new year kind of summary is because this means that this is going to be a year in which I am tempted by many things, you could say. And I need to be careful in trying to make the right choice. But also, this could mean like interesting things like around my anxiety. Because again, this is a very anxiety, like people who don't know how to make up their mind sometimes, because like so many things could be happening to be like making the choice hard. It could be that too. And that's also very interesting because if I am going into a temperance year and that card's all about balance, then how do I make the right choice that balances out my year? That's something I'm going to have to sit with. But that is, I guess, a card for the new year is many choices in my future. I hope I do the right one, guys. Yeah. Okay. I've been doing this for way too long. Guys, my videos always end up longer when I haven't filmed in a while. It's a lot more just like scatterbrained autistic moments. Sorry, guys. But anyways, I'm going to go now. I hope you enjoyed this if you watched this as long as you have. And I will see you all again next time. Bye.